Hi, everybody. I'm Bernadette Giblin, NOFA accredited organic land care professional. Today, I am going to be hosting the social marketing to drive the demand for organic land care. This is a webinar underwritten by the Long Island Sound Future Fund Grant. It was a presentation I originally gave during the NOFA Organic Lawn and Turf course, and we are making it available to lawn and turf professionals, accredited organic land care professionals, with the sole purpose of raising awareness of how to really use social marketing tools to further educate your communities, your clients, all those stakeholders about just how important organic lawn and turf care is in protecting the health of our water. That's why I chose this picture of me on the ferry on my way from New London over to Orient Point with the beautiful Long Island Sound behind me. It's a very sensitive ecosystem. There's serious ecological degradation going on, hypoxia, and really causing the fish and plant life to be deprived of oxygen. And we, as lawn and turf professionals, really need to act in the most ecologically responsible way and really bring that message home using the tools of social marketing to get consumers everywhere to join and collaborate with us in that purpose of good environmental stewardship. So let's get started. What is social marketing? The definition of social marketing really is marketing designed and implemented to promote socially beneficial behavior change. And really the change that we'd like to make as, organic land care professionals is that we start getting people to think beyond the surface of their lawn and, pardon the pun, but dig a little deeper and think about soil health. On the right, we've seen a lawn in a chemically treated scenario that really doesn't have very healthy soil. And when it rains, that kind of a condition is going to lead to a lot of stormwater runoff. Materials put down, going right into storm drains, going right into our rivers or streams that lead right into the Long Island Sound in our region. On the left, we've got an organically treated lawn, really nice, dense turf canopy, great long root systems of the plants, and then really working in conjunction with a healthy soil food web, lots of microbiology, definitely a soil that can do the work of filtrating the water, holding nutrients on site. And as we think about climate change and our needs to sequester carbon, that organically treated lawn really will be able to take on that challenge as well. So again, really designing and implementing this social marketing program is about educating people about environmental stewardship, and the purpose of what we do goes a little deeper. So the 5 Ps of a social marketing plan are a lot like a traditional marketing plan. I was about to say conventional. Product, price, place, promotion. But at that bedrock of it all really is purpose. It's really the purpose that gets embedded into a social marketing plan. And I really thought it was important to include the word collaboration because we want to engage people to collaborate with us. And when we talk to them about product, you're going to learn it's not what you sell, it's why you sell it, and how the NOFA standards provide us guidance, and then we provide guidance to clients. The price, there's always an incredibly high ecological price when we go with conventional products that harm the ecosystem. and ROI is the acronym for return on investment. We'll examine how organics is actually a good investment for homeowners. Place, well, most of us don't have a bricks and mortar store. Many of us do, but people are really, we meet them at their place, in their yards, in their backyards, community members, on playing fields. That's the marketplace where we work. We have to connect people to their sense of place as part of what we do. And promotion, carefully choosing social media platforms and devices so that we can start promoting ourselves alongside the growing food movement, folks who have done a really great job of communicating the importance of organic agriculture, and again, embedding our purpose and that spirit of collaboration in all our marketing, and educating people about NOFA, about that underlying theme of protection and restoration is going to make our job of helping people choose organic land care easier. Current industry perceptions about customer attitudes when it comes to an organic program usually fall into these categories. Often I hear when I talk to residential clients or community members, people, government officials who are making this decision, that cost is really the most important issue in deciding on an organic program, and that beauty is the other factor that weighs heavily. Hey, Bernadette, I'd go organic, but really it's too expensive. And, geez, I don't want it to look bad. All those weeds, all brown. I need it to be green. An industry perception that maybe customers are considering water health as a consideration, or even community members know that water health should be taken into consideration, is something that I think our industry thinks people have connected these dots, and still a lot of education needs to be done in this area of the decision-making process. So part of the work I did as a consultant on this project with NOFA Organic Land Care was to develop a survey that identified the barriers and the catalysts for change regarding this widespread adoption and implementation of organic lawn care throughout our region. We surveyed the group of students who attended the one-day OLC certificate course in lawn and turf, and we asked them some questions about themselves, about their businesses, and about what they were hearing from their customers as they go on sales calls or they deliver services to clients throughout the season. What we found out from them in regards to customer attitudes was a little different than what we've been hearing from consumers and industry professionals and people in government, was that the customers who they're working with found that human and pet health issues were really their greatest concern in making this decision to go organic, followed by environmental concerns, third being affordability, fourth being the beauty issue, and actually water quality actually being a little higher than the beauty issue. So again, the customers that they found that were making the decision to go organic were really weighing heavily in on the human and health issue, the environment, and then the affordability. So this is kind of a different perspective, but one that we really need to know when we're doing that social marketing, really trying to engage people in that adoption We really need to keep telling them that story, that what may seem low cost on one end is very expensive on the human and ecological health end. Other research out there, this is by a big garden organization, these statistics really confirms that for a decade, consumers have been asking more often than not for safe organic lawn care. And that stat showing that 5 million U.S. households in 2004 were using all-natural fertilizers, weed, insect control, and then we saw that jump up to 12 million in 2008. And that number does continue to rise, as we see in the second bullet, that 17 million more say they'll definitely start using all-natural methods. And why? Well, this sweet little blue-eyed baby is really why. A lot of hard work has been done by many great non-government organizations to really bring the message home that conventional lawn chemicals and pesticides and herbicides are a really unnecessary risk for our next generation and for our pets and pollinators. And yet, still, there is a gap that we need to address. When we look at this graph, that again, we ascertained this information from our group of 116. We saw that in 2013, they let us know that 60% of the time they saw a new client deciding to go synthetic still. Well, 40% of the time they saw people really interested in going organic. This is a great improvement, but obviously we still have a lot of educating to do to really let consumers know the cost that they will be facing in terms of environmental health, water quality, and human health and pet health issues. So our job isn't over, and we do need to keep collaborating. And when they talked about the percentage of their existing customers who switched from a synthetic to organic program, again, it's a lower number. 25%, that green bar, are those existing customers that these AOLCPs and organic turf professionals and maybe just lawn and turf professionals trying it out, they got 25% of them to switch, while 44% really were unwilling to switch over. So often it's going to be easier to get a new client to go organic, an existing client who's already been on a chemical program. Nationally, out there, a lot of legislation is happening in states, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, D.C., with the banning of Roundup, Oregon, Washington State, all putting legislation around limiting the use of products. And Connecticut, great K through 8, done away with the use of pesticides on school grounds, New York on playing fields, and New Jersey, the legislation did get shot down, but again, all of them are looking at nutrient load reductions, the elimination of phosphorus, and it's because of water quality, folks. This was just this month that the EPA is moving on water protection, clean water protection legislation. So the message is out there. It's just all about continuing to bring it to consumers. And then in our own Long Island Sound region, the Long Island Sound study documented the negative effects of hypoxia due to, the dissolving of oxygen caused by this runoff that's severely impacting ecological health. This is a case study that I worked on in Western Massachusetts, which used the correlation of near-infrared imagery with soil and water test results, really starting to show people that, in fact, high use of synthetic products can correlate to a high amount of nitrate in water. And what has profoundly impacted our industry and really helped to make the education of consumers easier is the growth of the stormwater problem. On the left, we're trying to educate people about how excessive use of nitrogen and phosphorus leads to algae blooms that dissolve the oxygen, really harmfully impact aquatic life and stressing aquatic organisms. And now, I think due to the events in New York City in which we saw with Hurricane Sandy, just massive flooding going on and really waking folks up that our stormwater problems are real, and we need to start engaging in this conversation of how we are going to do things differently to obviously protect our infrastructure, but also to protect our ecosystem. There's a much greater demand now for organic solutions. My friend Barry Draycott here on the right, applying compost tea to sensitive plant areas right along streams and riverways. And now there's a new move afoot called green infrastructure, in which homeowners are starting to be offered incentive programs to learn how they can minimize stormwater runoff and pollution, and how they can do these green home projects like rain gardens, container gardens, downspout planters, porous paving, to really help manage water right where it lands. It's no longer that we're going to be putting water into a pipe in the ground. We really want to start thinking about how we can engage soils and plants and collaborate with the natural environment in order to protect our water. So as lawn care professionals, all this data that, this geeky guy, what the bleep do I do with all the data? All this client data, national data, regional data, local data, about what people really know, what they don't know, and how we can relate to them everything that's going on so that they can be more informed consumers, that when they make that choice how to care for their lawn, they can know that it's a choice that also cares for their water. They can know that dollars spent in the short run will actually impact their ecosystem with greater health in the long run. So again, those keys to social marketing is really the key of adding purpose whenever we talk about product, talk about the price, talk about the place we live, and when we promote that, always injecting the purpose is to protect, the purpose is to restore, the purpose is to partner with our local communities, whether that's trying to do athletic fields or even a residential client. So when we talk about product, the NOFA Organic Land Care Standards provides us a lot of guidance on building healthy soils, increasing that biodiversity. I love this shot of protecting children and pets. My friend Joy Onash over at TURI, her little girl at our Lawn-a-thon event, felt so great to be able to have a little baby behind a spreader right next to some fertilizer. And again, that's OMRI water-insoluble nitrogen that was in that bag that day. And we want to be putting down water-insoluble nitrogen products, obviously eliminating phosphorus completely to protect habitats, to reduce polluted runoff, and to reduce, like we see here in this graph of the Long Island Sound region, reduce the hypoxia and the environmental degradation. In terms of the price, we want to educate people about the human health issues. We want to let them know that, they might see a product out there like Roundup, and that they should know about the environmental toxicology studies that are out there. This one in particular, done out of Germany, University of Leipzig, where scientists did detections of glyphosate residue in animal and humans, and showed that when humans were eating more conventionally grown food, they had higher levels. Animals grazing near where those products had been sprayed, higher levels. And so there is a bigger price. Do we even know the full cost? So when someone's deciding about an organic application or a lower price conventional application, they can factor in their health and maybe then weigh and maybe spending a little more money on a new product, a new innovative strategy that is going to possibly save them unknown health effects in the future. So here's some return on investment of organics that I did while working with municipalities on the TURI 5 park in Western Massachusetts conversion projects. We really showed that benefits can start in 2 years, and that over a course of a series of years, in this case 6, it would result in a 55% cost savings. So as the sustainability of the site increases, and remember, sustainability actually means something. When we create sustainable soils, we create soils that can sustain themselves. So we break out of that cycle of a lawn or athletic turf hooked on drugs, and we break into restoring the health of a vibrant, healthy soil profile that has the ability to sustain itself better. And is it good for a homeowner? Well, in the case of this homeowner, my friend and colleague, Bill Ravanisi, he witnessed a 45% savings over a period of 6 years. The benefits started for him in 3 years. Not to mention, I will tell you, Bill, who works for Healthcare Without Harm and has been an advocate for organic lawn and turf in his community, now really is pleased because he's got one of the most beautiful lawns on the street. And after a series of years, he's investing less. So again, another wonderful teaching tool to not be afraid to talk about price, and that just like a fuel-efficient car or more energy-efficient light bulb, initially we ask the consumer to put a little skin in the game, but over time it will save them money. And we do this because the place where we live, whether it's on our local street, in a town or a community, and, really we're talking about ecological health all over the world, we're dealing with these environmental fallouts. It used to be that people just thought about the toxic runoff, and now we know that these pesticides and herbicides are adversely impacting pollinators, impacting all kinds of species. So talking to people, letting them know that their own groundwater contamination might impact their own drinking water, letting them know that, we really should be grateful to the butterflies and bees and pollinators for every fourth bite of food on our plate, our dinner table. And that, obviously if birds can't survive in the Long Island Sound, how are our whole ecosystem going to be impacted by that? So we need to all become good stewards of the place where we live here on the earth. In terms of promotion, organic is expected to grow more than any other service in the landscape industry this year. So this is from Landscape Management magazine, just last December. 44% of lawn care firms are now offering organic, or notice how it says natural programs. And yes, 57% in this industry survey analysis, they're saying that 50% of the clients are generally willing to pay more, but there are 43% who don't want to pay more but still want an organic option. So as professionals, we need to be sensitive to the price points of consumers, and we also need to educate them about, what's the difference between organic or natural, and what they're going to be able to receive, what's the value added in them, to continue to have that conversation with them to get them on the organic path. Promotion really is something that we all need to think about doing on platforms like Facebook. What we used to call public outreach, we now call social media. And Facebook, in this, another graphic from Landscape Management magazine, Facebook seems to be the platform that most landscapers are participating on, followed by LinkedIn and then Twitter, Google, and Instagram. So this is the place where the conversation is being had, and devices like cell phones and these social media platforms are going to make you the most successful in marketing your business. Being able to have that conversation with those kind of client base that's talking about sustainable, local, healthy food and practices is probably going to be happening for you a lot more there than it did in maybe in a business ad in a newspaper. And it's going to be cheaper over time because you can get on there, you can find your voice, you can connect with different groups of people in your local community, throughout your region, across the country, and really the globe. And again, talking about that purpose, it's not what you sell, it's why you sell it. There's a great YouTube presentation by a gentleman named Simon Sinek that I really love. In it, he talks about it really isn't what you sell. He talks about Martin Luther King, how he didn't have a plan, he had a dream. So going around and sharing your excitement for plants, sharing your story of what got you on the organic path, telling people your dream and vision for safe playing fields. It's really letting people get that bit by that bug of passion that each one of us gets bit by. We see how organics really looks, how it's really more beautiful, how in time it is more cost effective, and feeling good about that. And finding a way to really share and connect with people is a lot of really that embedding that purpose into your marketing plan, really socially getting people excited about organics, and wherever they are, the issue. I know I'll tell you a little story about. I was at a day-long event, and we were positioned right next to the recycling committee. And all they wanted to talk about was recycling. And they had some wonderful community members who were receiving awards for doing an exemplary job of diverting food waste out of their, out of their trash that was going to go to the landfill. So I started having a conversation with this one mom and talking to her about lawn care. And she said, this is what my husband does, and he takes care of the lawn, and, the kids are fine. And then I was talking to her about colony collapse disorder and how, in fact, pollinators are being impacted by pesticides and herbicide use so widely occurring on landscapes that are conventionally maintained. And she was really upset about that. And she really looked at me and said, I really need to talk to my husband then. For her, it wasn't really an issue that she tapped into in any other way other than tapping into her incredible commitment to the pollinator community as a master gardener. So wherever, you share that connection with people is where organic land care can help to be more understandable and relatable for consumers. Purpose and collaboration. I collaborate with the Organic Land Care Program, and I collaborate with many people in my local community, and I share the standards and the more than 10 years of work by the landscape professionals and scientists and other activists who made up the committee. So really bringing that same spirit of collaboration that the OLC committee brought as they extended their visions and principles of organic agriculture to the landscape where people live, work, and carry out their lives, bringing that into those conversations, just sharing people with people that you are accredited, that, there is standards here. You're not just making it up as you go along is a big part of the purpose that people can respect. More of purpose being people, their health and their wellness. I wanted to include this new market research that I had done about the millennial generation. So you see these folks up in the upper left-hand corner. I read this piece on a great site called takepart.org. It's a digital media site that really engages people in signing petitions and connecting around environmental sustainability issues. In this piece, it talks about how this Generation Y, the millennial generation, did not put McDonald's on their top 10 restaurant list. And this is uncommon for McDonald's. And the reason this group, 80 million strong, didn't do so is because they, as a generation, it's really important to them how food is grown, and they really want sustainably grown food. So, we've got a new kind of consumer, a new wave of young people that as they begin their lives building homes and families, they will go on to influence the next 80 million that follow. So it's their kids, their pets. They know they want sustainably grown food. It'll be much easier for us to have conversations with them about sustainably grown landscape. So knowing about that they share this purpose with us, that these are the people that we want to reach out to and find on social media platforms to let them know about our work and help to move the movement of organic land care forward. So here's a summary of the successful social marketing strategies. Really, again, when we talk about safe products, we want to let people know that we follow the NOFA standards as a guide to industry best practices. We're not putting down excessive amounts of nitrogen. We are using OMRI-certified products that are non-water soluble, that break down slowly. We do a series of best practices so that we don't contribute to stormwater runoff. And again, as we sell that to people, always embedding the why. The why, because there's a much bigger price we all pay, which is ecological health of people, planet, our pets, and not being afraid to say, right, you're making ROI is a return on investment. You are making an initial investment that you will experience a high return on some cases 30 to 40%, in other cases 50 to 60%. And we all want to remember that we live in a place. Our local community is a place filled with people, and we all live on planet Earth. So as we meet people in business on their own lawns, we want to educate them about local water health, regional water health, and let them know right now the EPA is leading a national conversation about national water health, and then promote that. The new kind of outreach isn't necessarily going out to events, not that we shouldn't be going out to community-wide events, but we also want to be having that daily conversation on social media platforms with people who get what it is that we're trying to do. They get organic agriculture, they get that things should be grown sustainably, and they'll have a much easier time understanding the principles of organic land care to care for their own backyards. And again, purpose, we want to always collaborate. Sometimes this issue can be so polarizing. I know just in my own local community, 9 months ago was a polarizing conversations about herbicides through conversations with city leaders about organics, about the investment, about the return on investment, about human and environmental and ecological health with members of those food-growing communities and members of local neighborhoods and members of government. We're now all collaborating, and I brought my voice into it, the voice of the Norfolk Organic Land Care mission to protect, to restore. And I did that in service to my community, and people really are all getting on board behind now doing a portion of athletic fields in an organic approach. So it is a successful strategy, and I am grateful that we are all in this together with the commitment to love clean water. And talk to you later. Bye.